Hello, my dear friends. Welcome back to another episode of Coffee Corner. So, today's video is inspired by this comment and this podcast. Let me give you a little bit more information about this comment before we jump in our topic today. So, when I saw that comment, I was like, wait a second. What does 气泡音 mean? So I literally had to go to Google it and Google it in Chinese, Google it in English, and I finally found out that was vocal fry. So, and then I was confused because I didn't know which part was vocal fry when I did my video. And normally when I talk, I don't really care too much right now. It's not because like I was like, oh, don't care about it. It's basically just when I talk, I have no time and effort to care about something like that. And I didn't even know what that was. So I right away felt a little bit upset because I was like, okay, I can't figure that out. I don't know why this person said that and why this such a thing. It is a thing for English content creators now. Like you have to have a vocal fry, or it's a trend that everybody wants to have a vocal fry. I have no idea. Okay, so I just don't know why. But this isn't the way I talk when I speak English. Sometimes, well, most of the time, if you notice that there's difference when I speak English and Chinese, which I don't know why. Maybe that's the way they sound. So I got upset and a little bit offended. And then I really, really wanted to comment this thing back saying that what is vocal fry? Why are you doing this to me? Why do you say that? From where, on what earth you're saying I have vocal fry? Is that a good thing, bad thing? Like, just let me know. But that floating comment, it's hard to chase that person and respond to him or her. So I was like, oh, I can't do this because I'm actually spending more time on thinking about this comment instead of learning more things or improving myself. Then that's why I came up with this idea about why do people feel offended. And by the way, if you hear a lot of noises, that's because my AC is constantly blasting and it's so hot outside. Like a freaking hot. Okay, anyway, so let's talk about why do people feel offended. I mostly talk about this topic from my perspective as being offended and offensive at the same time. So I hope this video is not going to offend you or that you're not going to find this video offensive. Hopefully not. Okay, so anyway, I made a note. I read an article in which I will post this article soon on Zhihu, so you can definitely head over there and check it out. And I also have some of notes. So if you like this notes, I will post this PDF version of the article I read and the parts I liked and my little bit self-reflection there. If you like this, I will post this on Zhihu and definitely head over there and download or save it or whatever you want to do. I'll go ahead. But you have to understand that when I talk, I don't really follow any scripts. I don't have any scripts. This is just for me to think about myself, think about my behaviors, my thoughts too. So it's not going to be exactly the same thing I say here, and it's probably going to be a lot of different. So anyway, so if you like it, just head over there. So first of all, let's talk about why do people feel offended, including me a lot of time, right? So there are 5 reasons I summarized from this article. This is a very long article. I only picked a part of it, and those parts are the sections that I feel most relatable. Okay, so first one is anxiety. Okay, so I'm gonna read it, and here she says they may be anxious. Okay, the part I like is people who are easily offended may also struggle with the anxiety and a need to control their version of the world, and also taking offense to a perceived perceived insult can be a function of anxiety in that it requires the other person to acknowledge and potentially tailor their thinking and behavior to match the offended person's worldview. So, for me, when I thought about when I read this part, I was thinking that's exactly what happened to me. Okay, when I feel offended, that's because I have my very own value of the world. I have my very own standard of how people should treat other people. And if you don't do that, and then I just all of a sudden feel like I lost the control of everything. And that makes me very anxious about, oh my God, I can't manage this. And then to react to this anxiety, I decided to feel offended. And that's how people react. Okay, think about yourself too. So, for example, if you, I'm sure a lot of people are on TikTok, Xiaohongshu, and Bilibili here, and somewhere else. When you watch videos, there are gonna be people like, "Oh, why do they do that?" And then it feels like they flipped your beliefs. You know what I mean? It's like, so for example, for me, if I start a conversation or I start asking questions, I would start with a greeting first and then ask my question because I think that's a polite way to do it. And if you ask me a question like, hey, what does that mean in English? Then I feel like, huh, that's rude. It's offended. Because in my world, every conversation should start with a nice greeting. But in your world, you probably thinking we're so close. Why do we do that ritual thing? You know, we just cut up the crab and jump in the conversation right away. So, but that's because we have different standards. When your standards don't meet my standards, then I feel offended. And that's why I feel like this is part of the anxiety thing because, hey, if you don't do that in my way, I'm going to feel really anxious. I'll have anxiety. And then I feel like you don't respect me. And then I feel like I'm offended. So for me, when I talk about this, I'm trying to think in what situation or occasion that I had that feeling that nothing wrong with you guys. You probably just, not you guys, like in general, you guys, that you're just saying, but I take it too seriously. And I was like, oh my God, why do you do that to me? But probably you didn't mean anything. But then just because your words, your comments didn't match anything with my beliefs, then I started having anxiety. And to react to my anxiety, I think your comments are offensive. But now, after I read this part, I reminded myself that every time when I have the feeling, I have to think about, is that because the comments are really rude and offensive, or just because I'm overreacting to this comment and because that comment doesn't fall in my belief? So that's the way I fix my negative feeling. Not fix, like I'm trying to acknowledge my negative feelings and I'm trying to find solution to it. So, so far I find it very useful. So I'll keep practicing. Let's see. Next point is guilt. Okay. So when this author or psychiatrist talking about the guilt, and then they said they may be driven by guilt. Okay, so I think this part is very important for me. It can also be a form of projection, which is a psychological defense mechanism we all use at some point to tolerate our negative attributes. Okay, so for this part, I have so much to say. I don't know if you guys see the movie Inception. That's when that got me very interested in psychology projection or psychological projection. So sometimes you do have a negative attributes, but you kind of realize you have that, but you don't want to acknowledge it because acknowledging it is painful. So people tend to avoid painful feelings. So, how are you going to get rid of it? You project your negative feelings on other people. And that's how, or that's why or that's what this means here. So let me talk about this. Okay, I know I like to use a lot of examples about my accent, but that's part of me. Uh, when people say now I'm okay, right? And no, 99% of me is okay with the accent thing. Uh, but in the past, I was really like what's the word? I really cared about what people say about my accent. That's just because part of that was true. And you probably saw the video I posted before about how I presented, how nervous I was, and the way I talked was not nice, right? And now when I look back, in that was true. My English wasn't that good, or it wasn't as good as I thought. So anyway, when people talk about my accent, a part of me actually think what they said was true, and but it was so painful to acknowledge that truth. So I decided to feel like, how dare you say that? And that's very rude. You can't comment on my accent, otherwise that's racist or something like. Uh, why do you only care about my accent? What about my fluency? Something like that. And then I started feeling offended. That's because I think deep inside of myself, the negative part is yes, I do realize my accent is not perfect. That's because I'm not a native speaker. Okay, I can't get perfect. What is perfect in accent anyway? Then when people say that, they kind of like rub my rub me in the wrong way. And then I was like, that's very offensive when you say that. And then I was like, yeah, I feel offended. That's how I feel offended. But same thing I did to other people, that my comments or my words are offensive sometimes without realizing those comments or words are offensive, is when I say, hey, why don't you do this? Uh, why don't you say that word in that way? And that's not how we say it. Right? I still remembered when I observed a teacher when I started a new job, and then she was teaching a student about Thanksgiving, and there's a word called gravy, but she said gravy, and right away it jumped on her. Not jumped on her like in person, but I kind of like, oh, her pronunciation is not good, and then this is not good. That's part of me being part of me realized that my English wasn't that good, so I constantly focused on people's negative parts or their weaknesses of pronunciation or accent, and then I will say something like that too, and then I become very offensive to that person. So now when I want to comment or when I want to give some feedback to people, I'm very carefully about where every very carefully uh, about my words, right? So about my phrase, I just feel like if I don't want this, then I can't do this to other people too. And sometimes there's a part where I was trying to figure out, it's like people who have engaged in offensive behavior sometimes have a tendency to overcompensate with moral rectitude as a way to help lessen the guilt they are feeling. So that part took me a while to understand is, um, you know, like I said, that I'm not very organized on this part anyway. So when people say this, they were like, oh, maybe you should get rid of the part of the accent because your accent actually really affected the intelligibility and comprehensibility. And then to get rid of that, yes, my accent sucks. I have to. I then right away I feel like that's offensive. It's part of a defensive or defensive mechanism. I think that's the word, to protect myself and to tell you, yes, you're right. And then right away I would say, yeah, I'm offended and your comment is offensive. And you have to remember that being offended doesn't mean you're right. Right? A lot of people use that as excuses. Then you can't say anything about my performance, my speaking, even some of my mistakes. That as long as you point out my mistakes, then I'm offended, right? But you're trying to help me, and you're trying to say, yeah, you do make mistakes, but that's not a big deal. But right away, I don't want to have that guilt, to get rid of the guilt. And then I right away say, oh, you can't say that to me because that's offensive. But that doesn't make my speaking, my behavior, or my belief right. So that's why I really want to emphasize here is being offended doesn't mean you're right. Or being offended doesn't mean I'm right. So when people say, oh, that's rude to say that, it doesn't mean that person is right. So, but nowadays, because of social media and a lot of news going on, and people tend to have that feeling that they will say, hey, I'm offended. And the next one is insecurity. I posted here is a short passage, and they say they may be insecure. People who feel insecure have often been invalidated and learned others will not respond to their needs in helpful or meaningful ways. As a result, they may find that they are more easily offended than others as a way to acknowledge their pain and seek validation of their experience. Okay, before I talk about my very own example, I want to use Adele and the Rebel Wilson as an example to say that why people are so aggressive and nasty about their weight loss. So you all know Adele lost weight and Rebel Wilson lost weight, and there's like before and after comparison, and you should see all those nasty comments. And they just constantly say, "How dare you lose the weight? You are trying to like it was like a you're not proud of your body, and you're not proud of being fat, no, not overweight." Um, that's because those people feel insecure too. They think they can't do it, and then they don't want you to not do it too, so you can be the team, right? So we're in the same team, and then I feel good. Same thing. If you have friends like that, or colleagues, or whatever in your family, that people, if you move forward too fast, then people are going to be like, you're not good. And you offended them because you didn't care about them, and you move forward too fast, and that they can't catch up with you. And that's not your fault, and that's their fault because they feel insecure. They feel like they can't catch up with you. They can't accomplish as much as you do. And then they started feeling like if you don't stop, then any move you take to make yourself better is offensive. So that's how I feel about this. But then I have a very my very own perfect example. Again, I'm going to bring this up. It's about my accent, right? So when people say that about my accent, my pronunciation, or the way I talk here, I feel insecure because part of me think that is true, and I don't know if it's true. Okay, but part of me think it's true, and I'm insecure and I'm not confident. And when people say that right away, in my mind, I was like, oh, that's very rude. How dare you comment on that? But then realize that I put my videos out there for you guys to comment, or for some of people to judge. That's my decision, right? So I want people to push me, or to point out my mistakes so I can learn better and move further. But and then I realized I can't handle that kind of thing. So and then I started feeling like I kind of wanted to fight back because how dare you say that? You can't say that. You don't know anything about me. But that's how I feel because I have insecurity about my speaking. But you have to know that I'm not a native speaker. I'm still learning. I'm trying to get better. And that's why I'm doing this video right here. Not because I'm trying to show off, like, hey, my English is way better than you. How dare you say that to me? That is not the purpose of this channel. This channel is to help people who are like me, who want to improve a lot but don't know how, or people who don't have much confidence in their speaking or anything. Here is a chance for you to shine. And I'm shining here either in a good way or a bad way, but At least I'm out here to shine. So I want to encourage more people to do the same thing too. So if someone comment on your speaking and comment on your English learning or something else you're doing now, just don't take it too seriously just because you're doing the best of you're doing the best you can, and you're already more brave than anyone else. So yeah, they can suck it up. Anyway, I have the next one is pang. Pang. I can never say pang correctly in the past. Okay, so this one I also have a lot to say, and hopefully my camera is not going to shut off automatically. And if it does, then I lose part of the footage, and I'll probably put a blank picture here. Anyway, so let's not talk about that. So here, pain in the past, they're trying to rewrite a pain from their past. Okay. I highlighted this part. It says, it is as if they are standing up for themselves in a way they were not previously able to do at the time the pain was originally inflicted. Okay. I have a lot to say. This is about relationship between me and my parents. I don't know if you have same experience, but if you do, give me a high five. Okay. So they still do that, but they did this a lot when I was like when I was young. I would say in high school and university, right? Those kind of school years. They compared me with other kids a lot. So if you have the same experience, let me know. Maybe put one there. So they compare me with other kids. They say, oh, look at someone, they did this, they did that. Look at someone, they barely slept, but they did a really good job. And look at you, you always slept in and you did a lot of work, but didn't get good marks. How come? Things like that. And back then, I probably didn't know that feeling was called being or feeling offended. I just got angry, I got upset, and then sometimes I just went off. Okay. And then I was like, hey, now I realized when they say that, not because, like, why am I mad, right? Or why was I mad back then? That's because I realized that whatever they say there, like, I could not achieve it, right? I could not meet their standards to be that perfect kid, to be that kid they mentioned in the conversation. And then I started feeling offended because, like, why do you say that to me? I can never be him, or I can never be her. Something like that, but without even trying. Not like I would say, you're going to try to be another person. You be yourself. You work hard because you want to work hard. You work hard not because you want to be the other person. Okay, so that's the difference. But I didn't get it. I feel like, well, I can never be that person, then I don't want to work hard because I don't want to be that person, which actually sabotaged myself and stopped my own progress back then. But then I feel like, hey, now, why was I feel offended? Because that was a pain in the past that I know I acknowledged, or I realized I could never achieve something that my parents would want me to. But now when they say things like, oh, look at other people, they have kids now, they're married, and, they have good jobs and they got paid well, or they have a mansion. They have 5 cars, something like that, and I won't take it too much, just because I realized that, wow, that's something I can never achieve, but I'm happy about myself right now. I'm happy about what I am, where I am, and what I'm doing. So that's why when I talk to them, we have less friction, but vice versa. When I say something, so when I trying to be nasty about them, or when I'm trying to take a little bit of revenge, so I would say, well, my friend's mom bought her a house. my friend's mom bought her a car. My friend's mom did this, and my friend's mom took her to, and they feel super offended. They will yell at me, and they were like banging the table and banging at the door, and then they're like, "Ah, how dare you say that? You know, I'm your parents." But now, trying to analyze their behaviors, trying to analyze their reactions, then you realize they feel offended because they have this pain in the past that they do not want to admit. It was so painful that they were trying to ignore it, but now you bring this up. You bring this ugly truth up. And then they feel like, oh no. So I was never the perfect parent. I'm never a perfect parent. I will never be a perfect parent. Once they realize that, and then they hate your words, they hate whatever you say, and they started being offended. And that's how this will work. It's because pain in the past, and because you realize you could not change anything anymore to fix your past, to fix that unable to do thing that kind of past. So, and a lot of people will dwell on that, and then they will always feel offended. A lot of people realize, nothing I can do, then they move on. So, yes, and that's pain in the past. And I have a very last one of why people feel offended is strong beliefs. Okay, so you will see this a lot on social media nowadays. Just people have their strong opinions and they want you to believe their strong opinions. If you don't, they feel offended. So here he says they enforce their values and beliefs upon you. Sometimes you came across people who continuously point out you on small things, which are emotionally draining, upsetting, and you often think that they didn't like you. But don't worry, it's not about you. This behavior actually defines them. If people get offended, don't take it personally. In reality, they want to project their values and beliefs upon others. So those people, including me, have very own values and standards. I remembered I had a friend. I was like she used to be my good friend. Then we kind of split in the different directions. Just that was me. That was me. Okay, so in my world, people have to be decent. People have to do things in the right way, and once you have something kind of off the track, then I feel like you can't do that, how dare you. And then I always like to lecture people, which is a bad habit. I'm controlling myself now. Don't lecture people unless you're really good at that. Okay, so your values and beliefs are good, but you can't make other people to believe the same. We're all different. We have different experience, different background, and we have different values and beliefs, and especially small things. When this can't, so let's talk about this in a relationship. It's either boyfriend, girlfriend, wife and husband, or parents, kids, any kind of a relationship, even your colleagues, whatever, classmates, roommates. Okay, you name it. We're trying to convince other people to believe the same thing we believe in. But when they don't do that, when they think, why do you do that? And then you feel offended. Same thing. When they try to convince us to believe what they believe, and then we say, oh, that's not true, they feel offended. They find each other's behaviors very offensive. That's because we have a very strong beliefs and values in our own world. So, but not only we have that, we are trying to really push this thing on other people and trying to convince them to believe, hey, you should do this, and then that's when the fights take place. So in this situation, I have like I'm a big fan of mukbang videos. I like because I don't have many delicious, um, you know, dishes here, especially Chinese dishes. So I watch a lot of videos like that, and you see a lot of comments are like, "Oh, she eats that way," or why does she do that?" Oh, so in those people's values or beliefs, or in those people's worlds, you should not eat food in that way. You should not eat and talk, and you should like the very very own example of mine is here. When I talk, I like to move a lot. My hands move a lot because when I move my hands, it helps with my processing here and helps with my thinking too. So I can't stop myself doing this. But people will comment on that. Why do you always move a lot? Your hands are very distracting. You should not do that. Da, 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 da. So my behaviors offend them because in their world they believe when you talk you should sit still, stand still, don't move a lot, or you're shaking your head. So things like that. I challenge their values. I challenge their beliefs, and then all of a sudden, all behaviors I have here, all beliefs I have here, all the words, comments I have here, become offensive to them. So that's why they have, or I feel, or they feel offended sometimes. And those are 5 things I mentioned here. And of course, it's a super long video. I don't know why I do super long video. If you're still here, good for you, because we're not only talking about why we have to find solutions too, right? And I have a couple of solutions. Is think before you respond. Okay, if anytime or in any circumstance you feel offended, don't respond right away, because if you do that, you are actually bringing up a fight with this person. So think before you react, think before you talk, because that's what I do. Sometimes it helps, sometimes when you get comments, when you get feedback, or when you get anything like that, think if that's true or not. If part of that is true, that's why you feel offended, then don't overreact, because that is a good opportunity for you to learn, right? So people say something about my accent. I got upset, I got offended, but right after that, I admit that I do have a little bit weird accent. Then I move on. Not move on to forget about it, is move on to learn more, to improve more, to be better of myself. And that's what you can do. Take advantage of other people's comments. But you have to do a little bit analysis about what they say. Well, that's a lot of effort, but it won't hurt, right? So try to say that it will help you a lot, and it will calm you down. And if it's not true, why do you even care? Like what they say, oh, you're so orange. Which part? Right? So it's not true, then you won't feel offended, then you will just let go of it. And that's the first one. Think before you react. And second one is very, very, very important. It's called don't take it personally. So a lot of people, they do that. It's just because that's the way they are, and that's the way they deal with the other people or outside of their own world. And you just, it's not you, it's them. When they leave comments, nasty comments, when you talk to you in a very offensive way, it's not your responsibility to correct them. And you're bringing too much on your shoulder. Okay, so don't do that, because they're not doing that to you. They're just doing that, and that's the way they are. But for you, from your perspective, from my perspective, I think they're doing that to me. Me is the focus. Then I started generating a lot of thoughts, and then my thoughts generating a lot of feelings. Then my feelings screw me up, right? So don't take it personally. Think about that. Those people are just out there. Do you even know them? Are you having close relationship with them? If not, they don't even matter at all. If they have a close relationship with you and then they say it, and also don't take it personally, if you're not comfortable, maybe speak up a little bit for yourself and say, wow, please don't say that. I'm really not comfortable with what you're saying here. And this will help you to avoid some friction, some fight, and avoid wasting your time and effort. And that's why I stopped commenting on comments uh, who talk about my, it comes like that, talk about my speaking, my style, my appearance, things like that. I got a lot of comments to about my teeth, right? They tell me to fix my teeth, and then I used to feel offended, right? You're commenting on my appearance, but then realized, yeah, I do have problems with my teeth, and I realized that, I acknowledge that. But problem is, I don't have money, right? So that's the part that they don't know, right? Yes, it's easier said to be done than done. You said than done, yes. Um, I don't have money. If you can give me a credit card and then say, fix your teeth, and I think that would be the best comment ever. But if you can only leave a comment without giving me your credit card, yeah, so I won't take it personally. They just say it. Some of them even don't remember what they're saying to other people. So why do you have to take so personally about it and dwell on that forever? And that kind of feeling will haunt you forever. And then you are just wasting of your time. So that's the solution. Another thing I don't have on this note is what I learned from this podcast is try not to control. Okay. Sometimes losing control is part of the norm of your life. You know, you can't control everything. You can't control other people too. And then what are you gonna do? Right? When you can't control other people's reactions, behaviors, comments, words, and then you start to have anxiety, and then you're just causing trouble for yourself. So I'm trying to learn not to be a control freak, which I used to be, but that's because I feel like if I can make my life organized, then I'll do a better job. And then when there's someone who doesn't fall in my like in my range, and then I feel like, oh, he or she is not part of my life, and then they are always trying to offend me. So then if you follow my control, you're a good one, and then everybody's life is much easier. But that's not how life works. Right? So stop controlling what other people think. That is not your responsibility, and that well, same thing in the relationship. I think small things you should just let go of them. Friends, right? So she likes to dress up like that. Yeah, go ahead, give her some compliment and give her encouragement. Um, let them feel good. And sometimes when you might have to be honest, but you have to know your friend better instead of like if that's her personality. I have a friend. We always doing we're kind of like doing sarcasm on each other, and we know our each other's personality. That's why when she says something, I won't buy this, I would say no, that doesn't look good on you, and she won't feel offended because I know her. But if I comment on her weight, then that's rude, that's offensive, right? So I'm trying to avoid that. You know that person doesn't like that, then stop saying that to that person, right? That's how we can do better. We can be a better person to avoid being offensive. For other people, I can't teach them to do that. I can say, well, you're gonna do this, so you'd be good, and then other people won't feel offended. That is not my job. I can't teach them. So what I can do is to let go of them, and you can be whatever you want. And then I move on, I be a better person. Next time when you see me, I'll be a better person. Next time when you see me, I'll be a better person. So that's how we do this. And I think I talk too much. Anyway, I don't know if you like long videos or short videos. It's just when it comes to chatting, it's hard for me to stop. And I just had a lot to say. And I'm probably not very organized. And I don't know, I have a lot to vent it out. And I don't think I did a good job today, but I'm very happy about the content because I kind of learned a lot. From now on, I'm going to be a better person. Oh, another solution about your negative feelings or when you feel offended, you can write them down. Like why do you feel offended? And is that true or not true? If it's true, what you can do to improve. If it's not true, and you should just leave it there. And yeah. I have my journal, and I kind of categorize them in the three parts: good days, bad days, and not sure. So in bad days, I dump all my negative feelings there. I never go back and look at them or read them, because those are negative feelings. I just leave them there. You have a drawer. You open it, you dump everything you don't want people to say there, and close it and leave it there, and that's it. You will never go back to find anything there. And that's what you should do with your negative feelings, especially when you feel offended. So write them down and dump it there, and then just move on, because we don't have time to dwell on that. We have only this limited time, and we want to really take advantage of it and to improve ourselves. And that's it. That's it. Yes, and my AC is blasting again. Perfect timing to finish this episode. And of course, if you like this episode, please don't forget to give me a thumbs up. I can't really talk today. Give me a thumbs up, like it, do whatever you want to support me. Or you don't want to support me, that's also okay. And stay tuned. I'll catch you in the next one. Take care.